What's your wall? Every single day, I work with leaders whose walls are hindering them from being the kind of leaders that they really want to be. And so we got to break down that wall. We got to get behind it and bring the real person forward, because that's who people want to see. That's who people want to follow. That's the magic. That's the gold stuff. And that's what we're going to work on today. Okay, first things first. Anybody heard of a little TV show called Friends? Yeah? Okay, so I'm standing next to Matt LeBlanc on the set of Friends. We're backstage in between rehearsals for the scene that we're about to do together, and he's telling me about his morning. He woke up, met with an agent, got some really good coffee, drank the coffee. Boring. This was a boring story. I was like, come on, Joey, you can do better than that. But here's the thing. It would have been a boring story from anyone else. But from him, it was riveting. Riveting! Because he had presence. Presence that was palpable. Presence that was undeniable. He had the kind of presence that made you want to know him, want to listen to him, want to be around him. And I've met a lot of A-list actors, but talking to Matt LeBlanc about his boring coffee made a lasting impression on me. And it's the perfect example of the power of presence. No matter who you are or what work you do, you have to influence other people to get things done, to accomplish your goals. And the secret to real influence is to have the kind of presence that makes people want to know you, want to listen to you, want to be around you. And I know it's common to think that kind of presence is reserved for the Matt LeBlancs of the world or those celebrity people. How many of you feel like that? You feel like that's for the lucky few, Michelle? That could never be me. Well, I'm here to tell you that's simply not the case. You can be the kind of person that people want to know, want to listen to, want to be around, no matter where you are or who you're talking to. Because there is a formula for presence, and it comes down to these three things: authenticity, confidence, and purpose. Sometimes people ask me, what do you talk about, Michelle? Is it presence? Or is it leadership and influence? Or is it personal power? And the answer is all of the above, because they're all connected. When we think about furthering our careers or our leadership, we tend to focus on things like getting that promotion, or adding technical skills, or growing our client portfolio. These are all examples of what we call social power. And look, nothing wrong with wanting more social power. I'm a big fan. It's just that social power is only half the story, because there's another kind of power called personal power. And it's about having a strong sense of self. It's about being connected to your agency. It's about believing that you can influence other people. It's about being empowered from the inside out, not just the outside in. And when you feel powerful on the inside, it shows up in your presence and in the way you lead and influence. In other words, cultivate your power on the inside to grow your power on the outside. Over the last 10 years, I have worked with hundreds of professionals. And I have seen that regardless of the role, the title, the industry, there are people who have presence and people who don't. And the ones that have presence tend to have three things in common. You get a sense that they're comfortable in their own skin, that they know who they are. You get a sense that they believe in themselves and their abilities, and that they're motivated and engaged in what they're doing. They have authenticity, confidence, and purpose. And when people don't have presence, the opposite tends to be true. They're not comfortable in their own skin, they don't believe in themselves, and they're not engaged in what they're doing. And I know this concept of presence, it can be a little intangible, right? It's a little hard to define, but I can tell you that Not having it can have a real cost. It can keep you from being taken seriously in your role. It can create a perception of you that isn't who you really are. And it can be the one thing holding you back from advancing in your career. But when I teach people to connect to their authenticity, confidence, and purpose, guess what? It transforms their presence. It elevates the way they walk, talk, interact with people. And as a result, over and over again, I've seen career opportunities open up for people that were once out of reach. The research is crystal clear. When you tap into your personal power, you unlock a whole new level of self-awareness, self-esteem, and resilience, which boosts your ability to set goals, to make decisions, and stay motivated. And it's not hard to see how all of those things would lead to more responsibility and recognition in your career. When your personal power syncs up with your social power, your title, your position, that's when the magic truly happens. That's that sweet spot where it's like, yes, I can be strong and decisive and warm and collaborative. I can be in control and know when to let go. I can have a powerful presence and encourage other people to shine as well. And people love that. They love when you lead from a place of empowerment instead of ego and insecurity. But here's the kicker. You can't get there with social power alone. You've got to dig deep and activate your personal power as well. You've got to do the work within to do your work in the world. Years ago, I had this fantastic acting teacher, and his philosophy was your weakness as an actor is your weakness as a human being. Because actors have to be flexible, right? And if you've got an emotional block, it's gonna limit the kind of parts you can play. And so when you enrolled in his class, you would have to sit for an interview and tell him all about your life, starting at birth, so that he could find your weakness and know how to develop you as an actor. So I sit for the interview, I tell him all about my life, and he very quickly saw my wall. I was tough. I had a hard outer shell, which is why I kept getting cast as the cop, as the lawyer, as DoD counterintelligence supervisor Emma Fisher on CSI, right? And I could not understand why, because I thought I was this warm, friendly person. I thought I was just so cuddly and cute. I could not see my wall. And for years, people have been telling me, Michelle, do you know that your arms are crossed all the time? And I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. My resting pose was defensive, right? Keep out. I couldn't see my wall. But this acting teacher saw my wall, and he saw that behind it was this very emotional, sensitive person. And so to break down my wall, he gave me every crying scene you can imagine, right? All the breakup scenes, all the getting fired scenes, the hospital scenes, don't die on me, no, right? All the crying scenes. And at first I hated him for it. I absolutely hated him. But then I started to like it. I started to get into it, right? Because if I had a bad day, I could just go to my acting class and just, I had the worst day, right? Just put it all into the scene that I was playing. And it made me realize that one of my gifts is empathy, but it was hiding behind the wall. And it took that acting class for me to see my wall and to start chipping away at it. So, what's your wall? Maybe it's toughness, like mine. Maybe you intellectualize things. Maybe it's people-pleasing. Walls come in all shapes and sizes. What's your wall? And just as important, what gifts are hiding behind the wall? You see, we think the wall is protecting us, but it comes with a price. Maintaining that wall takes a lot of energy, and it can cause anxiety and depression and burnout.
and it keeps you from connecting with people on a deeper level, and it keeps you from expressing your gifts and sharing yourself with the world. So we have to find the courage to take down some of those bricks. Because trust me, we all have our stuff, don't we? We all have those things that hold us back. And we need a little help and a little encouragement and a little motivation to get out of our own way. It's time to break down that wall and share your potential with the world.